Hey, welcome to another episode of Huddle Up with Mark, the Fun Coach. I'm Mark Duncan. In this episode, I want to talk about making the time to incorporate relationship fundraising into your organization. As the executive director, and especially if you are an executive director with no in-house fundraising, or you're an executive director, you may have someone who's working in-house that's working on fundraising, but perhaps not spending their time on the fundraising activities that are going to yield the results that you need. But I want this conversation to be focused on you, if you are the executive director, and what you need to do to be successful at incorporating relationship fundraising into the life of your organization. Now, before we get into that, you may be asking, well, how much time should I need to incorporate relationship fundraising, right? So when you look at all the things that you have going on right now, right, how much time do you need? And I'm going to say that you probably need a minimum of 20% of your time freed up to focus on relationship fundraising. So 20%. The max should be about 50%. Again, this depends on how much your organization will need you. But I'm going to be challenging you on making sure that you are balancing that in a way that clears your plate enough so that you can add relationship fundraising to what you're doing. Because many of you may not be heavily engaged in relationship fundraising or major gift fundraising, right? Because that takes time. You're getting out, you're building relationships, you have a portfolio of individuals that you believe have capacity, and you're going to start building relationships, making the case, making the ask, and closing the deal. We need time for that. You cannot do that in the context of your current schedule if you are not doing that now. So, and the objective here, as you're making time to do this, is we want to make sure you're clearing your plate so that you can focus on, and this is the key, focus on only the things that only you can do. Focus on only the things that only you can do. So, for example, if you are a staff person who works for let's say it's a local YMCA. I'm just going to use that as an example. And you are a certified lifeguard, right? But you're also somebody who maybe you're the aquatics director. It's a good example. Maybe you're the aquatics director. Well, you're the aquatics director. You have a number of classes that you're making sure that are organized. You have perhaps maybe more than one pool, 2 or 3 pools that you have to make sure are maintained and all of those things. And so that's where your focus is, right? Your focus is on those things. That's that high level focus. Now, if you have a lifeguard who calls out and you're a certified lifeguard, well, now you're going to probably just jump in and fill in for that lifeguard. Well, now what does that do to your time? Because now, instead of being free to float and move about the organization and answer questions people have, or making sure that everything is okay at each of the pools, the classes are going smoothly, right? You're the only person who can do that in your role, right? And if you take time to lifeguard, you're now stuck. And now that stuff that you do normally stops. The train stops. And when the train stops, nobody else is going to step in and pick up where you left off because everybody else has other things to do that they're supposed to be doing, they're focused on. So the objective here when we talk about clearing your plate is so that you can focus on only the things that only you can do. As the executive director, especially if you don't have in-housing fundraising support, you're the only person who can engage in relationship fundraising. on a daily basis. And so if you stop to do something else that another staff person should be doing or could be doing, then that train stops. We want to get you in a place where you are prepared so that you never ever have to get off that train and the organization is running smoothly. So there are going to be three things that you need to ask yourself. Three questions. What are the things that you're doing right now that you can sunset? That means you can stop doing altogether. Outsource. So that means, it continues to happen, but you're outsourcing to somebody else just to handle that particular task. Or delegate. Okay. Sunset, outsource, delegate. SOD, if you want to remember that. Sunset, outsource, delegate. And so when you're thinking about the things you can sunset, you should be looking at absolutely everything that you're doing right now and asking yourself, do we need to continue to do this? Is it meeting the need of the people that we serve? If it's a revenue generating thing or it's supposed to generate revenue, is it generating revenue? And is it mission aligned? Okay. Is it providing a service to the people that you serve? Is it generating revenue? And is it mission aligned? And there are probably some other criteria that you can add to that. But you should be able to look at those things and say, maybe we can stop doing this now for whatever the reasons may be. I won't get into those here, but got to ask yourself that question. What can I sunset? What can I stop doing? And how much time is that going to give you on your plate? Okay. That's number one. Number two, outsource. What are those things that you're doing right now? Maybe it's social media, maybe it's bookkeeping, maybe it's even if it's cleaning, right? In some cases, you may be responsible for cleaning, like if you have a retreat center, for example, and you need somebody who to do housekeeping, and now you're engaged in housekeeping or you're engaged in some maintenance activity, right? That somebody else can be doing. You may even have somebody on staff who's doing that, but you're helping them, right? Helping them is not going to help the people that you serve. You've got to empower those staff people who you've hired to do certain things to do those things. Give them the autonomy and trust them to do what they need to do. And the reason is because you want to focus on only the things that only you can do. So when we're talking about delegation, you want to make sure that you are not duplicating efforts by helping them, assisting them. And this is not something that you're, testing, to see if your staff can do it. If you have employed the right things to select the right person to do the job, then that's not an issue. The issue perhaps could be you and your desire to assist, or perhaps you're assisting because you are not wanting to do certain things. And this is part of, I think, the challenge when it comes to fundraising. Many leaders in the nonprofit space will not focus on fundraising, and they will focus on other things that will fill their day because they're avoiding what they believe is too challenging to accomplish. So if you're an executive director, you don't have in-house fundraising support, you have staff, but you haven't fully empowered them with the autonomy and with clear expectations, then you are actually shortchanging your organization. Because again, you're the only person who could be out there engaged in relationship fundraising. That means you're the only person who could be out there meeting with people who have link, interest, and ability that you can build relationships with make the case, make the ask, and close the deal. Is that staff person going to be able to go out and tell the stories that are necessary to ask for 25,000, 50,000? They may be part of that process, right? Especially if you bring somebody into your organization for a tour and you have a staff person who is engaged in an activity that actually is working with the people that you serve. Well, then, yeah, you want to make sure that your donors or prospects see that. And you can stop and spend 5 minutes and let that staff person interact with that donor. That is a good use of their time and yours. But then you move on and you're still with that donor because you've cleared your plate so that you have at least 20% of your time available to spend on relationship fundraising. So if you're finding yourself listening to this and going, I don't really have time to do this, then I'm going to ask you to just take time to sit down, think about everything that you're engaged in, right? Do a desk audit on yourself and just journal for about a week, even before you write everything down. Just literally take a week and write down everything that you have done in the course of that day and how much time you spent doing it. And you're going to have a really clear picture on how you're using your time and how you can better use it to engage in relationship fundraising. So, what are the things that you can sunset? What are the things on that list that you can outsource? And what are those things that you can delegate on that list, and delegate in a way that empowers your staff with the autonomy to do what they need to do? They can report back. You can give them advice and counsel if they ask for it, but give them the chance to succeed or fail, because you can correct that. What you can't correct and get back is the time you spend doing the work with them, because 1 month goes by, then 3 months go by, right? Then 9 months, then a year, and you're not hitting your numbers. So I hope this is helpful to you. This is something that I talk about with my clients almost immediately, because relationship fundraising is new, and we figure out together what are the things that you have to do so that you can spend your time doing only the things that only you can do, which includes relationship fundraising, which could grow your fundraising by $100, $200, $500,000 in a given fiscal year. All right. Hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to go to my website, thefundcoach.com, or click the link below to schedule a complimentary coaching session with me. If you're interested in learning about the classes and courses that I offer, there's a link also below for the Relationship Fundraising Academy for you to peruse and take courses at your own speed. All right? All right. Thanks. And as always, this fundraising thing, it's not about the dollars at all. It's about what the dollars do for the people that you serve. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.